Alright, you are back with comedian Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So it's been a fucking epic day today. Up at 5:30, jiu-jitsu, kids to school, off to the library, work, Oppression Chamber podcast, more work, family shit and dinner, and now podcast. Just absolutely working myself to a standstill. No, not really, but I am fucking exhausted. I bumped into my mate again today at the library and we had a tea and a chat, and he teaches film at one of the big universities in Sydney. It's a postgraduate class he's teaching, and I was asking him about it, and he's just gone from online teaching, work from home, back into the classroom now, but he said 100% of his students are Chinese international students. 100%. 100% of his fucking postgraduate film school class are Chinese. And he's like, there's a massive fucking language barrier going on. He's like, you can't get all the material across, so you have to dumb it down. You have to take some shit out just to get past the language barrier. He's like, it's not really a course now. It's basically a degree factory. I'm like, are these Chinese fucking international students even interested in film? And he's like, a lot of them don't seem to be. He's just like, it's a fucking degree factory now. Just get in, get your degree, get the fuck out. Don't learn anything. Remember enough to pass your exam, and that's it. In, out, bada bing, bada fucking boom. The university makes money. You get a little certificate that means virtually nothing. And the decline of Western civilization marches on. I was like, that must be fucking frustrating. And he's like, that's the university business model now. It's just international students. They're making fucking record profits. But he was also like, Australians don't want to do postgraduate degrees in Australia anymore. They can get into universities in New York and fucking all around the world now pretty easy. So they're like, why the fuck should I stick around here? What the fuck are the Chinese doing postgraduate film for now? It's got to be a visa scam. What Chinese parent is like, go son, go follow your dream, do some film school in Australia? What Chinese person is like, yeah, film school in Australia? What, have they seen Chopper? Have they seen Wake and Fright? Is there a couple of Chinese cunts in China sitting around fucking a bowl of noodles just watching Wake and Fright? And if they are, who would come to Australia after watching that horror? It makes no fucking sense. Did they watch Romper Stomper, did they? There's Chinese in China watching Romper Stomper and going, let's go to Australia and do some film. Romper Stomper, one of the great Australian films, but it's about skinheads beating up Asians. It was one of Russell Crowe's first films, produced by the legendary Daniel Scharf. Scharfy. Anyway, like, what are they doing? It's got to be a dodgy visa job. Come do a post-grad, get your visa, stay in Australia, and when it's time for the Chinese to invade, they've got soldiers on the ground already. Soldiers who can film the whole fucking thing. They've got a battalion of cinematographers ready to fucking film the takeover. I am only 30% joking. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The university system is not far from collapsing, along with the banking system and pretty much any other system you can think of. We are approaching the end of whatever this phase was, but the end could last like 20 or 30 years. Could last longer, could last 40 years. I don't think it'll last 40 years, but it definitely could stretch out 20, 30 years. Anyway, fucking, that's that. Let's move on to this week's Boyle Breaks history. So, with the banking system in the US almost collapsing in the last few days, economics is on everybody's mind, isn't it? Yes, it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a little thing that you may not have heard of it, but it's called the Cantillon Effect or the Cantillon Effect. So this is something you should know about. They should teach you this, but why would they teach you this? What incentive do they have? So you don't know about it at all. So the Cantillon Effect, it's named after this Irish economist, something Cantillon. Who gives a fuck about his first name? They won't say that at school, will they? Who gives a fuck about Cantillon's first name? If it was Gary or fucking Steve, who cares? Or Oyen, I-O-N, or Shaya, who gives a fuck? Anyway, let's move on. So the Cantillon Effect basically describes the uneven distribution of inflation, or the uneven effect of inflation when new money is injected into this system. Let me explain. So let's say $1 trillion is printed. They press a button, $1 trillion is made, which they basically have just done. They've been doing it for fucking years now. So the $1 trillion gets made, but just because it gets made, it doesn't mean immediately the effects of inflation are felt. What happens is, and this is the Cantillon Effect, the effects of the inflation are felt in different places at different times. So the people closest to the money printer, the people who get the $1 trillion, the first people to receive the $1 trillion, which is usually banks, big corporations, you know the gist. People friendly with whoever the fuck is printing the money. They are the ones who benefit the most because they receive the money first. And because they receive the money first, the money hasn't hit the system yet, and the effects of the print haven't affected prices yet. So the people who get the money first can use that money to buy up everything they can at the pre-print price. So the big corporations just buy up stocks, bonds, fucking assets, farmland, houses. They get the money first. They pay themselves fucking huge bonuses. That's individuals as well. And these big corporations and banks and fucking multinationals and whoever are also buying up all the assets because they receive the money directly from the printer. So once they've spent the money, the effects of inflation begin to trickle down. The money is now injected into the system, and the further you get away from the printer, the more the effects of inflation are felt. Who's the furthest away from the printer? Me and you. That's who's the furthest away. By the time the fucking money reaches us, all the prices have been adjusted and have now incorporated this new $1 trillion. All the asset prices have gone up because they've already been bought with this fresh new money by the people who got the money first. By the time it gets to us, prices have gone up, and whatever money you did have is now worth less. So do you see how it's a big fucking rigged game, and you're not going to win no matter fucking what you do? Unless, of course, you buy fucking Bitcoin, and you better buy it fucking quick. But that's the Cantillon Effect, and keep an eye out for it because it's about to go down hardcore. Asset prices, especially after this bank bailout in the US, asset prices are going to skyrocket over the next fucking year, 2 years, 3 years. And your purchasing power is going to go down exponentially. It's the purchasing power. If you're close to the printer, that money has a lot of purchasing power. By the time it trickles down to the fucking Le Boyle, the purchasing power of that coin ain't worth shit. And we're heading into a period now where it's going to get fucking hectic. Anyway, so that's the Cantillon Effect. Hope you learned something. Look into it. If you didn't understand anything I just said, fucking just Google it. That'll do for today. Thank you to everyone who sent me a Ask Me Anything. I'm going to get filming those tomorrow and I'll start releasing them. Anyway, that's it, and I'll see you the fuck later.